We've all been to career day in school, but did it determine what you did when you grew up? That happened to Mitzy Dadoun. She had a career day when she was young that called to her and influenced her future career. Mitzy, what happened on that career day?
Well, it was a typical career day, right? They have a whole bunch of people come up and kind of talk about what it is that they do. One of the people that came and spoke was a gentleman named Felix Kalinowski, and he was an appraiser. He did commercial and residential appraisals. And I've always loved real estate. Yeah. Since I was a little kid, I loved real estate. I had a picture of my dream home when I was like 8 years old, cut out and kind of up on the wall. And I just loved the idea of kind of going into people's homes and seeing it and seeing that side. So I approached him after, their presentation and asked if I could, work with him during the summer. And he was like, sure, if you want to come and learn about it. And it was fabulous. I worked for him for the summer, and they took me in on the residential and the commercial appraisals, and they took me to the title office and showed me how to do title searching. Back then it was all manual and much more involved than it is nowadays where it's computerized. But it was really great, and I really enjoyed it.
How old were these guys?
They were like 65 and 70 or 72. They were pretty old.
And they brought in a 13-year-old to come in and help them in the summer. I mean, that's really young for a summer job.
Yeah. And I had to work hard to get it, but they could tell I was serious and that I really wanted to learn about it. And they were really nice at the end of the summer that they did pay me, and I kept working for them for a couple of years. I'd go, after school sometimes and work and help out with some of the things. And I realized that, this is kind of what I want to do. So I applied to Fanshawe College and went there. And they gave me some really, really good advice, which is, look to see what is required to get your residential designation and your commercial appraisal designation and to get your tax assessor's diploma. And when you're in school, do your courses to that same standard. And I did. So while we were doing our assignments, I was, instead of just doing them to meet the requirements of the school, doing them at a little bit higher level so that it would also meet the requirements so I could apply for my AIMA and then ultimately my MIMA, which is your commercial tax assessor designation. And
so for a lot of kids going into school, like they're just kind of figuring it out. But you went into school knowing what you wanted to do, with years of experience in the field and knowing what those courses were supposed to lead to, so that when you finished your courses, you could get the designations you needed right away.
Absolutely. I was there with a mission, and I knew what I was going to do. I also ended up being valedictorian, which was kind of nice. And my assignments were good enough. I was able to submit them. And so I was the youngest person ever to get my MIMA when I got it. I was, I think, 21 at the time. And back then you had to do an oral interview too. So there was like 5 people there interviewing you, asking questions, which was a little bit intimidating for me at the time, but I got it. But unfortunately, the government had a hiring freeze, and it lasted for 7 years after I graduated. So although I was top in my class out of 75 people, there were no jobs. And so I ended up getting a job with a bank and kind of stayed on that path. I went in and I was in the mortgage department. I worked my way up and became a vice president of lending. And, I did residential financing, construction financing, land assembly financing. So it was really great education because I kind of got to see that side of it. And then I also went and I got my mortgage broker's license. So again, I could kind of see the financing from both sides of the fence. And then I decided I really wanted to get to my true passion, which was, interacting more with people. As you moved up through the ranks in banking, it meant you were pushing paper a lot of the time and not really seeing people. So in 2013, I decided it was time to get involved with the selling side of things. And that's when I got my license.
And so by the time you got to selling homes, the thing that you wanted to do, you knew all the sides of the business and you were ready to go.
Absolutely.
And what was it like?
I knew all the sides. And I think that that's what makes me, different than most agents, because most agents do not have that kind of a background within real estate. And I've seen it from all sides. And so that, I can kind of have that vision. And so I started doing residential and commercial right from the get-go. And I love doing that mixture. and every deal is different. That's one thing that I really, really like, is that, you know, you're always, the real estate's different and the people are different. So every time you're working on a project, it's new and exciting.
And you know, it's wonderful. You don't, I mean, I don't hear stories like this very often, where you find people who have found their true passion when they were 13 and then explored all avenues before they got actually into that. If people want to talk to you about real estate and take advantage of your child prodigy fascination, what's the best way for people to get a hold of you?
Well, they could check me out at my website, which is smartseniorsrealty.ca, because I love working with seniors because I get to hear their stories. They could also, they can send me an email at mitzy@mitzydadoun.com, or they can phone or text me. And quite frankly, texting is pretty good. 416-993-2532. I usually see my texts first. So if you really want to get me, send me a text.
Well, Mitzy, thank you so much for sharing this story. I love it. I love that you were 13 with pictures of houses in your bedroom, and you
And I
went to
got
work.
that house.
You got that
FYI,
house.
I moved into a house that was almost exactly the same as my dream house that I had on the wall.
Well, congratulations. That's a wonderful story. Mitzy, thank you so much for taking the time to tell us your story.
Thanks, Craig. I appreciate it.